Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about one of the most important things you can do to keep your allotment plot thriving, and that is tackling those essential winter jobs. Winter might seem like a really quiet time where you can sit back and relax, and you definitely can sit back and relax, but there's also some important jobs that you can do now to help you get ahead, prepare for spring and keep your plot looking its best. I'm going to guide you through some key tasks that will make a really big difference. So grab a cup of tea or coffee and let's get started. So number one on my list is preparing your soil. So there's a few things you can do over winter just to keep that soil really healthy and ready for the growing season ahead. The first being weeding. Now it seems really strange to be talking about weeding in the depths of winter, but actually it's a really good time to get on top of things. You will see tiny little seedlings coming up, especially if you've got a polytunnel. Great conditions for weeds to thrive. If you take them down now when they're absolutely tiny, it's a much smaller job than if you were to do it when they're fully grown weeds. If you watch my channel, you will have seen at the beginning of last year, I had to clear my mini polytunnel because it had been completely overtaken with weeds where I just hadn't kept on top of it. So it was a much bigger job than it would have been if I'd have just hoed the weeds or just picked the tiny little seedlings out when they first started to appear. The next thing you can do to prepare your soil is mulching. So you can use so many different things for mulching, and that also includes any paths that you've got. If you haven't got grass paths and you've got wood chip paths, now's a really good time to top them up and just keep those weeds at bay and keep it nice and tidy, especially if we've got loads of wet weather, which we do get in the UK. It gets very wet and soggy here. So topping up your wood chip paths is a really good idea to do in winter, and then when spring comes, you've already got that job done. As for your beds, it's a really good time now to mulch them with compost or anything else that you might want to use, such as well-rotted manure. This will just enrich the soil and it will just protect it from that winter erosion. So number two is protecting your crops. So if you've got things overwintering on your allotment plot, such as lettuce or spinach or anything like that, you're going to want to protect it from those winter frosts. You can use fleece or a cloche. You can cover it with just about anything just to protect it from that frost that we're likely to get. Now's a really good time as well, if you haven't got a cold frame, to think about making one. There's lots of guides online of how you can DIY your own cold frame, but it can just be as simple as just a sheet of plastic over a raised bed, basically anything to protect your crops from the winter. So the next way you can protect your crops is by pruning them. Now's a really good time to prune any fruit trees you may have while they're dormant. I've got 2 apple trees on the plot that I prune every winter, and I've also got 2 in my garden that I'll be doing as well. You can also prune certain types of raspberries and soft fruits to encourage that healthy growth. The next way that you can protect your crops is by removing any dead growth. So clear away all of those dead plants, all of those plants that have gone over, just to reduce the risks of any pests and diseases carrying over to next season. The third job that you can be doing over winter is planting and sowing. So there's a lot of seeds that you can sow indoors at this time of year. I've just released a video on this. I'll put a link in the description so you can check that out. But there's things such as broad beans, onions, amongst others that you can get started now, and then they can just grow on through the winter and have a nice boost in spring. Broad beans being one of the favourites. You start them off quite small in winter, then you plant them out, and once spring comes they get off to a really good start and you're harvesting broad beans quite early in the season. You can also start chitting your potatoes in winter time so that they are ready to plant out when the weather warms up a bit and you've got warmer soil. Job number 4, maintaining the allotment. This may not be the most exciting of tasks, but it's one that's really important, and that is just the upkeep of your allotment. Things like tool maintenance. You can be sharpening your tools, you can be tidying out your shed. It's just that general clearing up that makes such a big difference when you're looking things in spring, when the season's off to a good start, things are getting busier, you don't need to worry about things needed to be thrown away or tools that aren't ready to use. They can all be done now if we use this time wisely. Another thing is your compost bins. So turn your heaps, get new ones started, use up any compost that's ready to use while you're mulching your beds. Really take this time to just get everything organised so you know what's what, and you know what compost is ready to use, what bins you've got free. It will just make you feel so much better when spring comes and you've got all this sorted. The other thing that comes under maintenance is any repairs you may need to do. So this could be beds that need replacing, anything damaged by the winter weather. Really try and keep up on that now so that when spring comes, you're not using that time that you want to be planting out and sowing seeds, doing these things that could have been done in winter. Number 5 is something that I feel really passionately about, and that is helping wildlife during the winter. And that comes under wildlife and sustainability. So you can be setting up on water butts and planning to save your rainwater. I, for one, will definitely be doing this winter. I've got a water butt that I am due to take down to put behind my shed, and I've also got a big water storage container that will be going up there too. You can create bug houses now for those beneficial insects that are really, really, really important to the ecosystem at your allotment. All these beneficial insects all really help. We need our pollinators after all. So that's something small that you could get done this year. You can buy bug hotels, but you can also make them really easily. And again, online there's loads of different ways and different things that you can use to create little habitats for them. So the 6th job is probably the most exciting one, and that is planning for spring. So this is all about getting your seeds ordered. This is about planning where you're going to plant things in your beds, and about designing how you want your allotment garden to look and what you want to be harvesting this year. Those are my top winter tips to keep your allotment in great shape and ready for a productive spring. I really hope you found these tips helpful and that you're feeling inspired to get out there and tackle some winter tasks yourself. Thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you again soon.